Double entente, huh? He's heavy and he can punch. Tommy Morrison was breathing very heavily between rounds 2 and 3. Remember that he has had a stamina problem in the past. In his loss to Ray Mercer, Morrison dominated the early rounds, then very visibly and obviously ran out of gas and was pummeled mercilessly by Mercer.
I would like to see if Tommy can maintain his pace for quite some time.
Well, if he can do that, Riddick, he's going to cause problems for George, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think George is waiting for Tommy to run out of gas.
The book on Morrison would be that exactly that would happen. Morrison landed a hard left hand to the body inside in that last exchange. Now tries the left hook again. A lot more jabs than Morrison threw in his last fight here on HBO against Carl the Truth Williams. Foreman lands a couple of lefts and follows with a right. And Morrison comes back with a left hook. Morrison ducking the right hand, just got away.
George is also using his weight now. He's pushing Tommy back, making Tommy use his legs, and eventually perhaps Tommy might tire.
Jim, I thought that right hand that George threw landed flush. If it did, that's the good news for Tommy Morrison.
I agree with you, Larry. I think it was the kind of blow with which Foreman has damaged other fighters over the years, and Morrison seemed to take it pretty well. But now the jab lands twice in the teeth of Tommy Morrison, and George is beginning to get on track with the jab, Riddick.
Let's see what happens when Tommy has to take these jabs, these right hands, and gets winded.
The left hand landed inside for Foreman. Morrison was wild with the answering left hook. Now a left and a right for Morrison. Straight left hand for Morrison. He's been able to get to Foreman just as Alex Stewart did in this same ring in April of '92. Both fighters landing the jab. George Foreman's jab has been compared to being hit in the mouth by a telephone pole as you pass in front of a window. Loving left hand by Foreman, tries to follow with a right and a left. Both missed. Morrison lands the left hook. There is a mouse under the left eye of Tommy Morrison. No doubt the product of a Foreman right hand.
I think down the Foreman pressure is starting to show on Tommy.
Tommy sticks the jab effectively. And again, and again, and again. 4 straight jabs for Morrison. Closing seconds of round 3 now. And there's a little bit of a mouse under the right eye of Foreman as well. So watch the left eye of Tommy Morrison, the right eye of George Foreman as round 3 comes to a close.
George trying to bully him, trying to impose his strength, trying to impose his will, trying to impose his image as George Foreman.
Punch stat numbers say that in round 3, George Foreman landed 23 of 35 punches. That's a 66% connect rate. Remember that he's using mostly the jab. Morrison tries to start the action as round 4 begins. We are evolving toward a slugfest as Tommy Morrison again lands the left, flush on George Foreman's face. Foreman throws the jab. Morrison answers with a left of his own. It'll be a real test for Tommy to see if he can maintain his will and his stamina in the face of Foreman's thudding jab.
Also his battle plan, Jim.
Right hand by Morrison knocks Foreman's head back a little bit. They trade punches in the middle of the ring. Tommy seems able to take George's stuff for the moment, Riddick.
Yeah, I think now we're going to fight. We get into a good fight now. But how long can Tommy take it? So far, I'm very impressed. Tommy puts his punches together very well.
Morrison again landing flush on Foreman's face. He seems for the moment to have forgotten to go to the body, which was part of the plan, but he's landing effectively to the head. Foreman with the jab. Morrison answers with a right. Foreman pawing with the jab that time. Low blow for Foreman. He got away with it as Mills Lane was directly behind him. Morrison's left hook partially blocked. Tommy keeps walking to his right, trying to keep George from setting up to throw the jab. But Foreman is getting increasingly quick with his bread and butter punch. Both fighters getting a little bit of a breather right now. It's been a pretty intense pace in the early going, particularly when you consider Morrison's stamina problems and Foreman's age. Left to the body by Morrison, right hand upstairs landing. Foreman still landing consistently, and there's the right hand over the top. Morrison swinging wildly with the right. Most of the heavier blows have come from Tommy Morrison. Right hand lead by Morrison. Foreman clubbing with the right hand to the top of the head. Tommy lands a right and a left in return. A slugfest, Riddick. And George just keeps pressing forward. Round 5 begins. Punch stat numbers with an interesting stat. Tommy Morrison, who couldn't seem to remember to throw the jab against Carl the Truth Williams, has thrown 118 of them already against George Foreman, landing at a 28% rate. Morrison with a thudding left hook. Foreman comes back with the left. Right hand by Morrison, and the good news for Morrison early, Riddick, is that he's taken George's stuff. George has weathered the left hook a couple of times.
I'm pretty impressed with Tommy. He's been throwing a variety of different punches. I've never seen him use a lead right hand, but he's been doing that pretty well. And you got to take your hat off to George. George's in there with a young man who's extremely strong, and he's taking his best shots.
Morrison has been quoted in the last couple of days saying that he didn't think George Foreman took a punch all that well. Sage ring observers said he's whistling in the dark. Most people believe George takes a punch extremely well.
I would have to say, so far he's taking Tommy's best hook.
And you heard Foreman saying to Angelo Dundee between rounds, "Don't say a word, don't tell me anything." The two of them play an interesting game of psychological cat and mouse with one another as the fight progresses. Right hand by Morrison. And again, Foreman takes it well. George comes back with the jab and chases Tommy as Tommy does a pirouette against the ropes. I have a feeling that George Foreman is extremely pleased with the way things are going, Riddick.
I think at this time the tide is about to turn. I see Tommy being winded, and he's loading up with everything at this point.
Tommy seems to be getting a little anxious and trying for nothing but power punches.
And George is still calm, cool, and collected.
Left hook lands for Morrison. George keeps walking forward.
Tommy is doing something extremely well. He's throwing the hook and moving. And George has to regroup and set up all over again.
It's going to take tremendous conditioning, though, for Morrison to continue to move for 12 rounds like this. He's never fought past the 9th round. Foreman patiently stalking. Morrison using the foot movement to stay away from the jab. Looping right hand over the top for Morrison. Didn't do anything. Foreman got one into the body, and now Morrison tries one to the body and lands a left hook right at the bell.
A punch that could put him into the very big money. There you see George chasing a pirouetting Morrison. He's like a linebacker going after a ballet dancer.
Seems like to me George's jab is so strong it made him turn around.
Punch stat numbers through round number 5. You can see how much busier Morrison has been, how much more accurate Foreman has been. Interesting fight to try to score.